We have been traveling past the little church, off the N3 highway for years. And although we have stopped here previously, I have always remained curious. We decided to research the history of this heritage site, and packed our things and travelled the 320-kilometre trip from Johannesburg to Van Reenen. And now, we bring a story which reveals some of the history behind this church at Van Reenen in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, which is considered by many to be the smallest church in the Southern Hemisphere. It all starts with a gentleman that goes by the name of Maynard Reginald Nelson Mathews, who was appointed as magistrate in Dundee from the 9th of December 1901, after having been transferred from Newcastle, in the same province, and having served in number of towns throughout Natal. He also served as chairman of the Dundee Cottage Hospital, and, in 1906 was the chief leader and commander of the Dundee Military Reserves during the time it was under martial law. On his retirement in 1921, he continued to serve Dundee as the chairman of the Dundee and Glencoe Liquor Licensing Boards. He was a member of the Dundee Town Council and later served as mayor. Maynard Mathews had a son, Llandaff Mathews, who was employed as a shift manager at the Burnside Colliery, near Glencoe. Tragically, on the 19th of March 1925, there was a rock fall at the Burnside Colliery, where several miners were trapped underground. Llandaff Mathews, upon receiving the terrible news, immediately organized men to go underground, to save survivors, and recover the deceased. The men that Llandaff led, managed to save 8 of the trapped miners. Llandaff went into the mine shaft one last time, to check if there were any other survivors. But sadly, there was a second rock fall. Llandaff Mathews was buried and his body was never recovered. Maynard Mathews, as a devout Catholic, requested the Catholic Church in Ladysmith to place a plaque in the church in his memory and honor, to commemorate his act of bravery. But the church refused his request, and he could not secure the permission to do so. Determined that a memorial to his son should be placed in a church, so that his son should not be forgotten, he retreated to the mountains, and built his own little church and become a priest himself, at Van Reenen. The specifications were very precise. The church would have all the vestiges of a formerly consecrated Catholic church, measuring approximately 14.2 square meters, with 4 pews that seat 8 people. 1 seat for each of the men his son saved. This church would be the replica of a wing of the Cardiff Cathedral, in Wales, United Kingdom. Maynard was ordained in the Dominicans on the 7th of May 1926. Maynard faded from public life, and spent his last years in prayer and meditation, and died on the 29th of July 1937, aged 72. Leaving his entire estate to his wife, Sarah. His death certificate records no immovable property. It is known that the little church was sold to a George T&E, and thereafter, to a Mr. Osborne, who, although a Protestant, did not change the Catholic denomination of the church. In 1960, ownership of the church passed on to Charles West Thomas, who remarried in 1974. He gave the church as a wedding gift to his wife, Mims, who died in 2015, at the age of 92. Her daughter Geraldine Johnson now owns the church and the adjoining property. It is the only privately owned Catholic church in the world. It would be known as the Llandaff Oratory in his honor. In strict terms, the building cannot be called a church because it is privately owned, and therefore it is then an oratory. Should you be in or passing through the Van Reenen area, look out for the little church signs. Stop in, and take a stroll around the grounds with the best views of the valley below. There is also a beautiful tranquil tea garden, which serves delicious homemade meals from all-day breakfasts, lunch, and afternoon teas. There is also a gift shop which offers a range of collectibles and gifts.